My next guest, a forward-thinking creative who most certainly operates outside the box, starting out with a bachelor's degree of jazz improvisation. Mykel Dixon's career stretched from short film producer to mentor to author, all the while using his creative flair for direction among many world experiences, turning his hand to owning a guest house on the coastal city of Cambodia, turning a beachside shack into the #1 listing on TripAdvisor for all of Sinukville, and joining us in the studio now for insider tips on this career success and the purpose of it all. Mykel Dixon, speaker, author, advisor and founder of Artisan Thinking, which in itself is intriguing, and a warm welcome to you, because when we think of that, you know, I think of artisan bread, the artisan thinking, put it into some kind of a context. How do I best understand that?
I think that given the way the world is heading with automation, artificial intelligence, a lot of these things, now we're witnessing a renaissance of sorts in terms of a... we're coming back to value the artisan flair. We're valuing experiences, we're valuing restaurants, food, careers that are more hands-on, that maybe can't be quantified, maybe aren't intended to scale. So the artisan approach is almost bucking the trend of automating and scaling things and bringing it back to a very human, artistic sense. You've
described yourself as a non-conformist. How do you kind of get the discipline required from non-conformity, sort of from being the black sheep inside any company or family? How do you rein in the rebellion in order to monetize? I mean, I know that's awfully kind of, you know, capitalist in its approach, but you get where I'm coming from. To make a business out of this. What are the disciplines? What's the focus that has to come in alongside that?
Articulating your value is key. I think that never before... I think it's the right time for this kind of stuff. It's the right time for the misfits and mavericks and rebels and renegades. Certainly anyone that is leaning, that has a tendency to being the black sheep, now is the time that you can monetize very well. So long as you can articulate the value in there without distilling it too much and losing the essence of who you are and that edge, there's really an opportunity to sit outside the box.
And that idea of beginning with the end in mind, so the outcome, the intent on what you're trying to do in order to put this as a proposition to people who will find some resonance with it and therefore want to be on the journey with you on whatever type of escapade this is. How do you nut that out? How do you find expression for that?
That's it's a very philosophical question. I think if you're driven by a vision or a deeper desire to create something meaningful for you, you will find a way to make that happen for others. And I think I've been blessed with a very clear vision from very early on, and now it's just a matter of executing it. Along the way.
And people would say as well, we were talking before on the show about, you know, the comfort and almost the complacency in situations. So from being a non-conformist to being the actual conformist, but having inside you maybe that germ of an idea that says, you know, I could make some running with this, if only what? What would you say the secret sauce is to having that courage to go outside?
We underestimate the value of vulnerability. We underestimate the value of losing. I know in the startup culture in Silicon Valley, they definitely celebrate failing and failing fast. And despite that being a buzz term and a phrase, I really think we underestimate how wonderful it is for building our confidence and conviction long term to have a few failures and to put everything on the line and throw a bunch of money or a bunch of resources, a bunch of time out there for your big, bold, grand, beautiful vision and for it to fall absolutely flat. I think it's healthy because in that moment, who you have to become to get back up, back up, it just builds resilience, it builds strength and power.
The biggest failure, what was it? And how did you recover from that?
I fail all the time on stage. I speak a lot, and I did one not too long ago. I thought it would be a wonderful idea for me to have. I'm not sure if you've seen, there's a TED Talk by a woman called Jill Bolte, and she's a neuroscientist. She has a stroke, and while she's having a stroke, she's observing herself having a stroke. So I was speaking about vulnerability on stage, and at the same time I was having a meltdown. And I thought it would be a great idea to discuss my meltdown live while having it. I don't know if it landed. I don't know if it really worked, but But what I gained from it, I left that gig thinking, wow, I almost feel like I got more value than the audience that day, because who I then became as a result of that, transformational.
And that kind of ties in really briefly, finally, the legacy. If you are to leave things behind and say these were because of, in some shape or form, my input, what would you say the bigger purpose has been to all of this? Yeah.
If I can have as many people as possible recognise, understand and believe in the power of unlocking and unleashing their unique, innate artistry. Not their 1 in 7 billion contribution to the planet, that will just light me up.
All right, well, you know, it sounds Herculean, but it also sounds admirable at the same time. So listen, thank you for taking us on something of that journey. Best of luck with the next steps on it. And look, lots more to share, I'm sure, via whatever means you can find Mykel Dixon's insights, his TED Talks, as he says. It's all out there before him. Mykel, M-Y-K-E-L, Dixon, for you. That is the show.